Here's a thought. Can God create a rock so big that he cannot lift it? This is a typical objection to the existence of an all powerful being like the Christian God. By definition, God is a maximally great being, meaning that there are no limits to this being. God is omniscient, God is omnipresent, God is omnibenevolent, and God is omnipotent, all powerful. If you can prove that this being has some limitation to it or some deficiencies present, then by definition it would not meet the standard of what or who God is. And that's what this objection tries to do. But here's the thing, this question or objection is designed in a way, is constructed in a way for you, the believer, or the one answering the question, to fail every single time. It's like this. If you were to ask me, Ryan, have you stopped beating your wife? What do I say to that? Yes. So you were beating your wife? Okay, sorry, no. You mean you haven't stopped beating your wife? Do you see how that works? That's what this question does. It's designed for you to fail because no matter what you answer, God cannot do something. If yes, God can create the rock but cannot lift it. If you say no, then God cannot create the rock. What I want to point out is that this question doesn't make any sense. Because what does it do? It pits God's strength or his power against God's power. It would be like this. If I came up to you and I said, hey, I found something out today. I went to the gym and I found out that I'm stronger than myself. You would say, Ryan, that practically doesn't make any sense. And you'd be right. How could I be stronger than myself? Well, that's what this question does. It pits God's power against God's power in order to prove that God is not all powerful. When we're talking about God's all powerful nature, we're talking about the fact that God can do all things that power can do. So God cannot do the irrational. God cannot make square circles. That's no limitation on who God is. It simply doesn't make sense to ask God to do something irrational. So, Christian, next time you hear this question, do not take the bait. Point out the fact that what this does is it pits God's power against God's power in order to prove that God does not have all power.